Hey, it's a first for this channel, an actual review of a video game. Now, some of you might have been lucky to grow up with all those classic Disney movies of the 90s, but being born in 96, I had to grow up with all the weird obscure Disney movies of the early 2000s. Emperor's New Groove, Atlantis, Brother Bear, even Home on the Range, which I had to see twice on the big screen. Twice! That must be a record. But in that mess of movies released during that time, there was one polished gem that captured my imagination: Treasure Planet. Basically Treasure Island in space. This was a movie that I loved from the moment I saw it. A great adventure with amazing visuals, music, themes, a complex Disney villain. It's still one of my favourite animated movies. So when you love a movie as a kid, what do? You buy the official video game for the PlayStation. Back then, it felt like every movie had some kind of video game tie-in, and in 2002, Treasure Planet was no exception. There were other versions of the game on the PS2 and Game Boy Advance, but the version I owned was for the good old boxy PlayStation 1. But in my case, I didn't actually pay for this. In fact, I technically stole it from my cousin. I asked if I could borrow the disc, he said yes, and he just never asked for it back, so I kept it. That was piracy in the early 2000s, kids. John Silver would be proud. I've since bought a full copy, and even this is kind of nostalgic to me. Like, remember the instruction manuals? I'd always spent an hour flipping through these to get myself excited for the game. There's also a leaflet for the PS1 listing all kinds of accessories, like this big screen you can clip onto the console to make it portable. Like, what are you gonna do? Play it in the bar? Treasure Planet is even listed as one of the coolest 5 games, so wow, I guess it must be good. Let's boot up this disc on our trusty PlayStation 2 and set off for the loot of 1,000 games. So the game starts off with a horribly downgraded clip from the movie, because I think even VHS quality was too much for the PlayStation.
Flint and his band of renegades swooped in out of nowhere.
Believe it or not, this kind of thing was actually fascinating back then. If you didn't own a movie on VHS, you had to settle for bit-crushed clips in the games. Kids today don't know they're born.
And then, gathering up their spoils, vanished without a trace.
Alright, Treasure Planet. The game itself is fairly self-explanatory. You play as young Jim Hawkins as he sets out on his journey across the galaxy to find Treasure Planet. It's a platformer, so you have to make it through the levels, leap over pits, slash enemies to bits, and collect lots of shiny items. Having grown up with Sonic, games like this were always my favourite, so combine that with one of my favourite childhood movies, and it's no wonder I got addicted to playing this. The game begins on Montessa, Jim's home planet. This is basically a tutorial stage that lets you get used to the controls, with help messages from Dr. Doppler you can pick up along the way.
Crates are vulnerable to any form of attack you inflict upon them, be it from the employment of your laser or your sword.
Surprisingly, all the voices in the game are the exact same voices from the movie.
Yeah, sure, I'll use the lift.
I wonder how award-winning actor Joseph Gordon-Levitt felt about recording all this energetic video gamey dialogue.
Just what I was looking for! Yeah, I got enough treasure to open up the next level! Yeah!
The controls are simple enough. Jim can slash enemies with his sword, blast them with a laser musket, and he can double jump for extra height. What is a double jump anyway? I always tried doing one as a kid, but I could never pull it off. For really big jumps, Jim can form a glider using Morph, his shape-shifting buddy from the movie. This is kind of strange, since Jim doesn't actually meet Morph until later in the film, so why does he have him on the first level? Congratulations game, you just passed your artistic license test. Basically, the game revolves around exploring each level and collecting these big things called Treasure Planet tokens. The more tokens you collect, the more levels you can unlock on the map. You can earn tokens in lots of different ways, completing challenges in each level, collecting a bunch of scrolls by smashing open chests, or picking up enough crystals to buy them from a vending machine.
Deposit your credit crystals in exchange for a piece of treasure from the hoard of the notorious Captain Flint.
Because when you're thirsty, you don't want a Pepsi from the machine, you want a Treasure Planet token.
Yeah!
Some tokens are hidden in secret areas that you have to blast open with your musket, and every time you find one, Jim goes crazy.
Secret area!
Secret area! Secret area!
It's like he loves the fact that he's in a video game. Anytime something happens, he never shuts up.
Yeah, checkpoint!
Checkpoint! Checkpoint!
I can't even think about the word checkpoint without hearing that over and over again.
Yeah, checkpoint!
Checkpoint! Checkpoint!
Yeah, checkpoint!
Checkpoint! Checkpoint!
Yeah, checkpoint! Checkpoint! Checkpoint!
Stop, please!
Yeah!
There are also some other things you can find along the way, like hidden clapperboards so you can unlock secrets in the gallery. This doesn't make any sense to me. Why would film clapperboards be hidden on a sci-fi world? This game isn't just breaking the fourth wall, it never had one to begin with. Still, there are some pretty cool unlockables here. You can replay all those low-res film clips, view some neat concept art, and some interesting comparisons between the movie characters and their PS1 models. It's like Spot the Difference or something. And you know what? Playing through this game is giving me an odd sense of deja vu, collecting treasure, exploring huge worlds, finding tokens, gliding across huge gaps. I feel like I've seen this somewhere before. Oh yeah, Spyro. Yep, this game is a complete rip-off of Spyro the Dragon. In fact, they don't even try to disguise it. Jim glides like Spyro, he has a short-range attack like Spyro, he has a long-range attack like Spyro, the levels are full of treasure and gems like Spyro, you bash chests open like Spyro, you collect tokens to advance to other worlds like Spyro, the mini-games are presented like Spyro, even the characters talk to you just like they do in Spyro. Treasure Planet is Spyro. Apparently, the developers, Magenta Software, loved Spyro so much that they copied it for most of their games. Just a few months before Treasure Planet came out, they made a game of Stuart Little 2 with the exact same gameplay, and a couple of years before that, they made a Muppets game that's exactly the same as well. So I'm basically playing a rip-off of a rip-off of a rip-off. It's like that episode of Ed, Edd and Eddy where they just keep reskinning the same idea. Like, did they think no one would notice or something? Ugh, I have to stop thinking about this before I explode. So the first level takes you through Jim's hometown, and your first challenge is given to you by this little alien kid called Ethan. This is quite interesting, since Ethan was actually a character from a deleted scene in the movie, and he has the voice of that kid from Brother Bear.
Can you help me? Please?
How peculiar. As for the challenge, it's a basic shooting minigame where you blast some alien birds. Not too bad. You get your first token and carry on through the level until you reach this guy, who has the gall to charge you 100 coins just so you can get through a big door.
100 doubloons? You're kidding! I don't have that kind of money!
Wait, you mean like money bags? Yeah, he'd always take all your gems just so you could get across a bridge or something. I can barely believe it. Oh, God. So after you pay up, you get down to this big mine, and you have to help another alien out by fighting some bandits. They're pretty easy and just die in one hit, so there's not too much trouble here. Just find the 5 empty power cans, stick them in the generators, and earn yourself another token. Dr. Doppler is waiting for you at the end, but strangely, you can tell him to beat it if you want to keep exploring.
Have we finished our adventures in the sunny town of Benbow?
No, I still have people I need to see.
I wonder how that will hold up in future levels. Okay, time to save and... wait, what? Memory card? Ugh, yeah, back in the early PlayStation days, you couldn't save your games without one of these. See, that's how they get you back then. Cough up 30 quid, jam one of these into your PlayStation, and hey presto, now you can save. They even advertise it on the back of the manual. Don't lose your memory like Ben. Yeah, cute. And I didn't even have a PS1 memory card back then, so I couldn't save this game at all. I just had to leave the console on all day while I went to school, and pray that Mum didn't turn it off until I got back home. It's a miracle I didn't burn the house down. But now I have a bunch of these things, because I'm never putting myself through that kind of trauma again. So we move on to the Montessa race, and it's time for some solar surfing. This was one of the coolest things in the movie. I always wanted a rocket-powered hoverboard, so it's great they actually put it in the game. Strangely, there are no other races and everything is against the clock, so it's less of a race and more like a time trial. You just have to speed through in the best time to earn more tokens. The controls are a bit slippery, but once you get used to the course, it's not that difficult. So far, the game is actually doing a pretty decent job of taking us through the key scenes in the movie, save for Jim getting arrested for speeding at the end. Next up, the Spaceport. A very cool location, and there's a lot to explore in this level. Cargo bays, market stalls, and lots of ships. You have to hang on to crates to make it across big gaps, and you can even make Jim dance to the music. Actually, the music is pretty cool. It's got this catchy Irish jig thing going for it, so it fits in quite well. Some of the enemies are pretty weird though, like these tiny sombrero things that come after you across the floor. Seriously, they're sombreros, what else could they be? For years, I didn't even realize you could kill them with a jump attack. They're just bizarre, what are they? Also, it's a bit tricky to find some of the treasure hidden in this level. You need to stand on this pad to charge up your musket, so Jim can go all doom and blast the boxes up above on the buildings. I guess the developers wanted you to think about how to find certain items. You know, just like, oh never mind. Challenges in this level include helping out a market stall owner to get rid of some rats, and a fairly engaging minigame of catching some falling fruit. What's weird is that you can play all these challenges twice, but you don't actually get anything for completing them a second time. They even straight up tell you about it.
I haven't got anything left to pay you with, but, well, if you're not busy, I surely would be grateful for your help.
Can't they just give you some extra treasure or something? Speaking of treasure, before you can get into the shipyard, there's yet another guy blocking your way, and of course he wants you to pay up. This time, it's 200 doubloons, and even after you pay him, he still has the cheek to say he doesn't want you around.
Don't hang around too much, you'll make us look suspicious.
Charming. Strangely, this is the last time you get charged in the game. Yeah, you only need to collect 300 doubloons in the entire game, making all the rest of the treasure completely worthless. It's just a shame my OCD won't let me rest until I collect all the treasure in the galaxy. Dr. Doppler is waiting at the end by the RLS Legacy, the ship that will take us to Treasure Planet. But first we have to get through a boss fight. It's Scroop, that creepy spider psycho from the movie.
Cabin boys should learn to mind their own business.
Though why Jim would be fighting him in the spaceport before they've even met is really beyond me. It's not the hardest boss fight ever, you just have to dodge the Donkey Kong barrel Scroop throws at you, then he drops a bomb you can toss back at him. Do that 3 times and he starts blasting you from above. Throw a few more bombs and he'll start chucking boxes at you. Remember that scene in the movie where Scroop was hurling boxes? I sure do. You just have to shoot Scroop when he pounces on you and he's done. Dead before the plot of the movie even gets going.
Yeah!
The final part of this world is the spaceport race, which is a bit unusual since in the movie, Jim doesn't actually do any racing here. They even mocked up a loading screen to make it look like he does, which I'm sure must be a weird Mandela effect for someone. But it's the same basic thing. Speed around, jump the ramps, and bag some more tokens. Now we can move on to the RLS Legacy, and this was one of the standout locations in the movie. It's just a ship I really wanted to explore. Well, here you can, and it's pretty faithful for a blocky PS1 adaptation. You can visit the bridge, climb the rigging, and even stand right out on the bowsprit. Pretty cool, all things considered. That said, getting all the treasure on this level is a serious nightmare. There's so much up on the rigging, and if you fall back down, you have to climb all the way back up. It takes forever. Jim climbs like a snail, so after I missed a few glides, I just started spamming the jump button so he'd get up there faster. Jim's got the makings of greatness in him with acrobatics like that. There's also a few more challenges, like a timed game of capture the flag up on all that annoying rigging.
Yippee.
You can even visit the captain's quarters, and she'll give you a little cannon lesson. This game's pretty heavy on the shooting minigames, but come on, who didn't want to fire that cannon? If you take the lift down to the galley, you can even do a chore for John Silver himself, even though it's exactly the same as the fruit minigame from the previous level. Now the game's just ripping off itself, but at least we get some hints to Silver's true nature.
Now you know what they say. A crew is only 3 miles away from a mutiny.
Foreshadowing. After that, you have to make it all the way down to the lifeboats by unlocking a whole lot of laser gates. Just match the generators up with the right colours, dodge the steam, and avoid some more Donkey Kong barrels. What's with all the barrels? I like how you can even visit the lifeboat room. It feels like they did put a fair bit of effort into recreating all the big locations from the movie here. Like, I wonder if you can go through that big hatch. Oh, I guess you can.
Yeah!
Next, the Legacy race, and at first, I didn't have a clue what this would be. Like, how do you race around the Legacy? Or maybe you take control of the ship itself, dodging black holes and supernovas. That would be pretty cool. But instead, you're in one of the lifeboats, racing around on Treasure Planet. So technically, this level shouldn't be part of the Legacy section at all, because you're not on the Legacy. I demand a recall. Finally, we reach the big one, Treasure Planet. This is what we've been waiting for, Captain Flint's Trove of Riches. Immediately, we have to take part in another shooting minigame for the captain, which is a bit harder since your musket can overheat this time, and if you were a kid like me who just kept smashing the fire button all the time, it could be pretty annoying. Now we get to explore, and this level definitely has the hardest platforming challenges. Most of the jumps are above huge pits of ooze, so if you fall in, it's bye-bye cabin boy. The most annoying bit in the whole game comes when you have to open this locked door. You need to pick up a generator to open it, but it's across this insanely awkward jump that just drives me insane. Every time you glide, it feels like you can just barely make it, but then you end up falling to your doom. Maybe a running jump will do it. Come on, come on. Yes, come on. No, he was standing right there. I'm just gonna run as fast as I can. Come on, you stupid Jim Hawkins. Grrr! Come on, you stupid glider. Just get on the other edge. No! Grrr! I can't believe this. If they made the platform just an inch closer, then it would be fine. But it's so frustratingly out of reach. I hate it. That's it. I'm just gonna try and jump up there. Oh, come on, Jim! He can jump up to the top of the Legacy like Spider-Man, but he can't reach up and grab one stupid ledge? You don't deserve the treasure, you nose-wiping little whelp. Maybe 6 months later I actually reach the ledge and open the door, but then things get even worse, since we run into Ben. Now, I like Ben, but what I don't like is a horrible forced stealth section. You have to sneak past the pirates without getting caught by their flashlights, and of course if you do, it's straight back to the beginning of the challenge. And even worse, every time you fail, Ben says the same thing, over and over again.
Oh, goodness, Jimbo, they saw you! They saw you! Calming down, calming down. Okay. Maybe if we wait a few minutes, they'll settle down, and you can try again!
I swear I've heard that so many times, it's burned into my brain for all eternity. Why did movie-based games always do this? They did the same thing in The Incredibles with that horrendous violet level. I still have nightmares about it now. Ugh, okay. So eventually, I managed to scrape past the pirates and reach the giant portal on the other side. It's really cool to see this in the game, since it was another key scene in the movie. Once you step through the portal, you're inside the treasure room, which is pretty fun to explore, even if you can't actually pick up any of that gold. You just have to solve a few more puzzles and reach Captain Flint's ship, where, bizarrely, the ghost of Flint gives you your final challenge.
You must have some metal to have made it this far, lad.
I sure don't remember that in the movie. It's a bit different from the other mini-games. The whole ship is crawling with gunpowder barrels, and you have to slam them before everything goes kaboom. You'd think Flint might be generous and give you all his treasure for doing something like that, but nope, just one token is all you get. Captain Flint was a cheapskate. So you reach Ben at the end of the level, and he warns you that the whole planet is about to explode.
If you finish what you need to do, then we'd better get out of here!
But remember what I said about being able to turn characters down at the end? Well, you can still do that here.
No, Ben, we can't leave yet!
Oh, well, I'm sure we have a few more minutes. At least I hope we do.
Like, I don't get it. The whole planet's about to go up in smoke. Why would they even give you that option? If you pick no, it might as well just say game over. That's it. Before we can escape the planet, we still have one last boss to confront, John Silver. He's a lot tougher than Scroop. You have to get him to blast all these crystals with the right coloured fireball so he harms himself. Once all the crystals are down, he starts showering you with electric mines you have to dodge, but there's always one you can pick up and throw back at him. Do that 3 times and you reach the final phase. Now, you'd think this is where Silver might have a change of heart. You know, like in the movie, where he's torn between the treasure and whether to save Jim. But no, this is some kind of demented Treasure Planet universe. So instead of helping Jim, Silver just tries to blast him to his death while he clings on for dear life. So much for a nuanced antagonist. Fortunately, Silver drops his blue Chaos Emeralds, which you can use to toss back at him and finish the pirate off for good, just like the movie! Yeah! Our final level is the Treasure Planet Race, where Jim cooks up a makeshift solar surfer to escape the planet. It's weird how the loading screen shows Jim wearing his jacket, when he clearly isn't in the cutscene. Continuity? What's that? This is the hardest race in the game, since the whole planet is falling apart, and every lap has some kind of new jump you have to leap across. The turns are pretty tight as well, so you can't take things too fast either. Still, if you can jump the chasms and make it to the end, the portal to freedom is there waiting for you, which is a good way to end the game. Sadly, the game doesn't really explain what happened to any of the other characters in the story, so we can assume they all blowed up and only Jim managed to escape. What a happy ending. So that was Treasure Planet for the PlayStation, a complete ripoff of Spyro the Dragon with unoriginal gameplay, slippery controls, and questionable deviations from the movie. By all rights, the only place this game belongs is at the bottom of a deep black hole. But deep down, I can't bring myself to dislike it. I just have too many good memories wrapped up with this game, and honestly, it did give me what I wanted as a kid. The whole point about movie games for me is that they gave me the chance to explore all these exciting worlds from the films that I loved, and this game does a pretty good job of that. You can race through Montessa, explore the spaceport, sail on the Legacy, and even discover the loot of 1,000 worlds. It might not be anything special, but it satisfied my imagination back then, so I'll always have a soft spot for it. But if you're not a Treasure Planet fan, then yeah, you're better off playing some Spyro. Thanks for watching this video, and look out for more reviews coming soon.
When have I ever done otherwise?